you've learned from cradle to grave.
What if you turn hardship into greatness, anger into serenity? Everything changes. Make your life a masterpiece. Welcome, I'm Janik, your host, and now joining me back to the show, and obviously presented by Harmony in Diversity, Dr. Moazzem Hossain, to really discuss this time very important learning and how does learning actually relate to harmony in diversity. In this episode, we will really unpack what we mean by learning, how it relates to harmony and in diversity, and also how to really optimize our learning in order for us to enjoy life even more so. In short, it's really an occasion for us to really become the very best because that's what we want to be, the best. And in doing so, we have to learn continuously. And this is all about in this episode, really learning and how it relates to harmony in diversity. Welcome back, Dr. Moazzem Hossain, to the show. It's such a great honor to have you back and really to discuss learning and how it relates to harmony in diversity. And we also did some research and we actually read one of the chapters of the book Learn or Die, which is all the more important today because the changes and the fast pacing world we live in today is just increasing from day to day. So, welcome back, Dr. Moazzem Hossain.
Thank you, Mr. Yannick. Um, Definitely, it is a good topic to talk about. And as you said, learning or learn or die. This is not a new concept. Learning and harmony is synonymous. Okay. Uh, uh, Without learning, you will not be able to achieve harmony, and without achieving harmony, you will also not be, uh, able to learn properly, or there will be distortion in learning. In fact, the purpose of learning is nothing but to ignite your mind. Okay. Now, regarding the learning, there are a lot of ancient stories also that even people learn from their womb. Both there is a famous saying that you learn from cradle to grave, but there are I know, but to mythological stories about learning from mother's womb. Okay, uh, that people are learning. Even Albert Einstein also said that this learning should start just after the birth. Okay. Now, these are all saying, and but learning is a it's an evolutional process also. As Charles Darwin said that the species of plants which learns quickly and adapt with the changing climatic condition or any scenario, they survives. Other, they don't survive with the changes. And first of all, what does learning do? It empowers you. definitely. Then it clears your perception. So if you have your clarity of perception, you see things as uh, it is, and definitely if you know things as it is, you will also achieve a balance and harmony. And though people have talked many things, there are, you will find hundreds of quotes about learning and education. But to me, learning, it empowers you, it gives you growth, it enlightens you, and more importantly, it expands your critical thinking or critical faculty of reasoning. And but
That's amazing. So let's just give each of us, let's we give an example. Okay, how learning might look like in a concrete example in your way. So give us an example where you learned something, where really learning took place in your personal life.
in fact, in my personal life, I learn almost 24/7. I'm a keen observer. I always seek for learning. So, what I do once I get up, after doing all my activities, first action, I kept some time for reading books, for learning, because I need to have new ideas in the morning. And till I get any new ideas, I cannot work. Even if I'm busy and if I go to the office, and before I start working, there is a standing order that once I sit in my chair or sit in my office, minimum 15 minutes, none should disturb me. After 15 minutes, everybody can disturb me throughout the day. Because that 15 minutes, if I cannot study earlier, so I study that 15 minutes. So you see, I always strive for learning, because I know if uh, you know if you get a new ideas, it's my personal belief that your brain, it remains active, and you also feel good. So once your brain remain active, you can also learn better. And but, throughout your working process, you come across many people, and once you interact, you will see that you are learning new things. So, learning, there is no such stereotype in learning. You can learn by observing, by seeing, by talking, or if you have some specific arena to learn or a specific interest, then you go for reading books, or if there are if there is some organized teaching, go there and learn. Okay. And
Just quickly,
regarding
just quickly, just quickly. This is brilliant. Now, one of the big question is always, and you say you really you fuel your gift, you expose your mind to new ideas by reading, for example, a book. Now, this is one way of, for example, learning. But one of the critical question is always is that because learning is ultimately a result of taking in information and use them based on a given context, let's say, okay? Now, how do you translate ideas, for example, the book that you read in the morning, there are ideas, how do you translate it to ultimately integrate it or to change potentially your behavior? Okay, because we know that ideas is one thing, having them in our thoughts, but it's another thing to actually translate this idea to a belief. In other words, in taking actions. So how do you specifically do it when you read, let's say, 15 minutes in the morning? And what do you do concretely with these ideas, these new ideas that you absorb by learning?
In fact, once I have some idea, definitely I disseminate it to others. Normally, you will have, less scope to disseminate it to others because people are, you will not find many people to interact because nowadays people do not read. And I think you wanted to mean that, a specific arena, if, all this learning will just enlighten you. Okay. It will, you will have experiential knowledge and you will have also wisdom. And once you go for any work, and ultimately you will find all this learning, somewhere you can relate all those. Uh, Today you have learned something. It may not be that today you can relate with your work until unless it is job specific learning. Okay. And if there is a job specific learning, you can instantly share this. And rather, you need to do that. But if you want to share your knowledge, which you have acquired through times, and you need a certain specific moment or a specific incident where you can share your knowledge that this is the right way or this is appropriate way to do this thing. So here,
So what I just want to quickly paraphrase what you're basically saying is that's what I understand what you're saying basically is that one way of you learning and really integrate it into your daily life is by giving it further, by disseminating it, by helping people, by sharing it, right? Because once you read, let's say, an idea in a book, you ultimately you distribute it. In other words, it takes an effort. You have to actually understand it in order to transmit it, right? In other words, whatever you read, that's my understanding of what you're saying is basically that you read it as you are a teacher and as you have to teach it. Because this is already one of the best ways actually to learn. Because once you read a book, let's say, and you assume that you are the master of the content and you have to actually convey it to an audience, your state of mind is very different while reading the book. Is this, roughly speaking, what you mean?
mm, not really. In fact, what you wanted to know probably, I cite three examples. One is from Archimedes. He was in a when he was swimming in what do you call in the swimming pool, then he suddenly said eureka. He got what he wanted. Then Newton, once this apple was fallen, then he discovered the gravitational pull. Another one, just from the Empire State Building in Manhattan, New York. Once upon a time, it was the highest. It was the tallest building in the world. And architect of this building is Mr. F.R. Khan, who happened to be from my locality. And he was born and brought up there in a remotest corner of the globe. So, where from he got this idea to, in fact, this design. In our village, the jute, and this is called the golden fiber in our country. And once you struck this jute fiber, then straws are there and they're being stacking in a conical shape. So it raises around 50 to 60 feet, but they are remaining in a balance. And there he learned from his boyhood that if these jute straws can remain stable and in a balance up to this level. So if we want to build a tallest building, then this technique, the ancient technique of our people, they're using it for the day-to-day life. And he conceived that idea from there, and he implemented in making the once highest and tallest building in the world. So you see how learning relates. You never know. Once you're learning, when it will come to handy to use. And regarding reading books, not reading books, I'm telling that probably you wanted to mean that if you are expert in a certain area, definitely you want to disseminate those knowledge or your experience to others. So that is more easier than this learning. Okay, because
Yeah,
if you read books, if you do some courses, and you get proper training, and till such time that you have the confidence to that you know all nooks and corner of this particular topic or particular arena, that will give you confidence, and you can share your experiences. Okay.
yeah. You know that the thing is, I think just to that we are clear basically on, because obviously there are different definitions, right, of learning. So I think what it is, first and foremost, I think what you're saying is that it is an active process, right? It's a process of making meaning out of new information, right? In
Mm.
other words, as you said, right, there's a stimulus. Let's say there's an impression that you get somehow, and then there is an effect, right? And in absorbing those two of things, you take something in, and ultimately you make something out of it, right? And that making out of it is really making meaning, okay? And in doing so, you contextualize whatever this means at this very moment, and then you draw to some extent a conclusion. You either take an action or you don't take an action, or you just contemplate it, right? And you use it as information in order for you to potentially take, in the long run, a more informed decision,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. One of the example about harmony, if you see, um, you can see that once there is any deluge, or there is any earthquake or any sorts of natural calamities, there you will find that snakes, poisonous snakes, humans, animals, they are just living together. Okay, so snake is not biting. Humans are also not killing snakes, and there are many incidents we have observed, that the river dolphin. Once a boat sank in the river, then this river dolphin, though they have the senses of closer to the humans, they just save the kids. So here, the learning is that once there is urgency, once there is a need, then you all for your survival, you will have any win-win situation, or any situation for harmonious living. So learning, you're learning, uh, and by just mere telling this, yeah, you can develop many strategy for your organization, for your personal life, for even strategy for any state. Because if there is a urgency, or if there is a need for survival, and you alone cannot, if there is any deluge or uncertainty, you alone cannot win. So what is the point of you want to win, not win, at least you both win and stay in a balance and in a harmony. Okay.
That's beautiful. Now, let's dive a little bit into the two system thinking. Okay, there's one system, and that's what you are alluding to, right? When it comes to a earthquake or whatever, right? Immediately we tap into our system one, which really is our intuitive, right? Into our survival mode. That's what we already have, right? What we already learned, which is also basically really encoded in our very, yeah, gene, right? I mean, that's what we do, right? But then there is a second layer, the second stream. This is really what really learning comes into when it comes to humans, in the sense that there you use your rationality, you use also your your whole experience, but also you incorporate your emotions, and obviously you also you use your reason. In other words, the second the second thinking is really a concerted effort. It's hard, it's not easy. In other words, thinking one is when we are on an autopilot, right? That's what we are basically are when we drive a car, right? We don't really have to think. Everything is incorporated because we have done it time and again. Whereas if we use the second system, that's where really effort comes in. It's applied reason, it's rationality, it's it's a present moment, right? And that's where it comes in becoming more nuanced, right? Because we can't just take the information that we have gathered so far in our lives and just react to the situation, but rather we use a more nuanced approach which takes effort. Okay. Now, this is part of learning, and I think this is the toughest part for us humans, is not necessarily thinking the first part, that is the intuitive part, but rather it's the effortful part to really contextualize and take in what we experience and then contextualize it. So what do you think? Because this is the hard part.
No,
And that's oftentimes,
but these are very abstract things. And number one, I talk about practicality. First of all, the rationality is all confusing, and it is the root cause of all evils, because rationality comes out of intellect, and intellect is these characteristics of intellect is just to dissect, and it also generates these um, it is uh, it is not ego, but more than ego, that is identity, and through identity it generates your belief system. Okay. So this uh, if you talk about this rational thinking is not rational in word. Okay. This is also this is the uh, irrational thing. Okay. Until unless I told you, if you want to solve anything, if you have the clarity of perception and you know things as it is, only then you can solve it. And for rationality or rational thinking, then what we will do, because you will think that I need this, I will think I need this, I think that my belief system is this, my own is best. So you are telling that your belief system is best, but neither of us is correct. Get it guaranteed, because if our perception would be clear, then this point of rationality would never come. I told you before probably that once you are seeing me, I am seeing you. Uh, it is becoming 16 parts is coming to me or your retina and gives an image like Dr. Moazzem or Mr. Yannick. So the Mr. Yanik I am seeing is not the real Mr. Yanik, or Mr. Moazzem you are seeing is not the real one. That's why uh, if you have this clarity of perception, and it comes through mental equilibrium, because now here this why I'm please okay, I'm just explaining it. Rational thinking, belief system, it comes of ahankara. It is not ego. This is that you are identified with yourself, and it is connected with manas. Manas means mental plane, and this is a very volatile plane, and which is the root cause of all evils of humankind. I'm not going to going for discussing all those in a deliberate term, because it needs a deliberate session. But just know only this much, and that's why uh, uh, for having balance and harmony, you need mental equilibrium. Once you have this mental equilibrium, you will have balance, and you will also have harmony when all the organs they are acting in a proportionate way. And everything cannot be the way we want. Not like it's not like a machine that I'm giving something, it is producing something. If we are dealing with human beings, with then you cannot desire exactly what you want. Even after that, if we here comes the point of learning, as you said, why learning is important for harmony. Because now I'm telling you that this rational thinking is not correct. Okay, because rational thinking is the root cause of all conflict. Because you are remain adamant on your point. I'm remaining adamant on my point. So it is very difficult to convergence, and definitely it is on the fault line. That's why I'm talking about that clarity of perception, and if you have the mental equilibrium, that is called balance, and then you can achieve harmony. That's why learning is synonymous to harmony, as I told in the beginning. Okay.
I fully agree. I fully agree. And I think I fully agree, actually. Now, the question is just that there is a process to get to actually harmony. And that's to me precisely actually the way to achieve harmony is through deliberate learning, to deliberately use the second system thinking that is incorporating rationality, but also reason and all your experiences, a continuous process in refining your behavior, your thinking based on the circumstances, okay? Within but also outside. In other words, again, I come back to what really Darwin was also arguing. It's that ultimately our behavior and our species, it's always a function of our environment, right? And that's ultimately what also learning is, right? Because we have to adjust our behavior, our way of communication based on our environment. And that's to some extent really what learning is. It's precisely what Hess calls it stimulus and effect, right? And constantly taking it in and adjusting our behavior, okay? And you're absolutely right. It's all about clarity of mind, right? Because if we have clarity of mind, if we have this harmony within, which emanates outside, that's ultimately what truly learning is, because we live in alignment with the cosmos, right? And we take it in as we receive and send out, okay? Now, just quickly go back to in terms of good and bad, okay? Because this is also very important, and that's one of the huge challenges too, to really unpack it. And to me, in terms of learning and harmony, the good is really if we tap into always into our full potential. And by that I mean it's uplifting. It's uplifting for myself, but also and especially for the environment around myself, for example, other people. And that's really what good is. And the bad is really when we are not able to strive to our full potential or live up to our full potential. And in doing so, we also become an obstacle for our environment. In other words, for our fellow human beings. Would you agree with that? Because to me, achieving your full potential is really a matter of achieving harmony in diversity.
In fact, uh, we are talking in a, our scope is unlimited. We have not narrowed down our scopes regarding learning. But, you must have the foresighteness. But there are infinite limits or this limitless of your learning. There, you must decide how much you can explore. Because we are exploring inward, also outward. Because this is your ingenuity that you will have to uh, give a bar or give a limit of your infinite limit, because that is required. Otherwise, you will you will not be able to satisfy yourself, or if you want to uh, uh, expand infinitely, it is not possible also in a lifetime. So
That's actually what you're basically talking about, you, and
yeah.
tell me if I'm right, but it's precisely important that we set some intermediary goals, right? So that they are achievable and therefore we can build upon this further and further. Whereas if our goal is unlimitless, then it's hard to actually do this, right? Because we disconnect from the need of seeing progress, right? And to getting closer to certain intermediary goals. Is this what you're basically saying?
Yeah, but but those are those are set rules for doing anything, that we have this immediate aim, then immediate objective, not aim. Aim is one, but there are objectives to reach to the aim. So there are some phasing or stages through which you will achieve your aim. But at present, there is a report of World Health Organization, that is WHO, is the organ of United Nations. This is interesting and alarming also, and they have given the right observation that present day world is the pandemic of mental illness, and by 2060 it will become pandemic of suicide. Okay,
2026, you say, or 20?
2060, 2060.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
we are learning many things, but we are we cannot balance our outward learning or inner learning. Okay, so but that's why you need to identify what type of learning you need. First of all, probably that book you have given, those are mainly confined for organization to excel, nothing else. And for organization to excel, you don't need that much learning. And those are more of stereotypes also. And in learning, these stereotype system doesn't function better. Okay. I can cite you one example. If you go to India, in Calcutta, Rabindranath Tagore, he conceived the idea of learning that is that should be under nature, and he established a Vishwabharati, where students are, they were not forced to learn anything. There are disciplines. They are learning more by interaction than these stereotyping these classes and others. So that's why there are ideas that uh, uh, at present in this world, if you want to survive, for your survival, then we come our inner, development or others. Uh, you need to be because there is a very thin line of achieving competitive advantages, because things are moving so fast. So you need to learn, you need to innovate, you need to implement all those with speed also. Uh, Otherwise, you will not survive. So you see, we all are running because of this technological advancement. Right at this moment, if you innovate something, that becomes obsolete in the next moment. So, if you talk about these business entities or any organization or anywhere, this competition or stakes are very high. So people they are under stress, and at sometimes they do not know how to conduct their life. That's why I said that uh, you need to limit the infinite limits. Otherwise, you will go wrong. That's why this World Health Organization is telling that now we are going through the pandemic of mental illness. Okay. So here you need to identify that what need you have and what learning you need. Okay. So learning for learning, I would recommend the ancient wisdom, ancient system also, because learning is cyclic. Okay, these are it is there in our memories, in our gene memories. Okay, because our ancestors, they also learned for survival. So those things are there in our memory. These are vivid. So,
But
directly,
just quickly, punkt. Yeah, absolutely. That is so important. I agree with that because, and that's also actually in the book, right? It's about making meaning. It's about making sense of the world. And one way of doing it is always to putting it into a story, right? Because that's where oral tradition comes from, right? They told stories in order for us to really learn to absorb it, because it's just not possible if there is no emotions attached that we can actually make meaning of just chewing at people facts, right? And that's partly why we have a mental health crisis, is because now people, especially young people, are just confronted with an unlimited amount of facts, and therefore they get completely confused. And by being confused, it causes anxiety, it causes all sorts of issues, and especially it causes the issue of feeling helpless. You don't know really where to start because there are so many variables at play, right? So this just quickly to summarize what you're basically are saying.
no, no. Here one thing, we humans, we always want to extend our spheres of influences, and this uh, and if we want to, increase our spheres of influence outwardly, But we, to me, in present world, for the youngs and for all of us, it is that we want to explore this infinite, limitless outwardly, but we forget to develop our inner self or look inward. So there are two types of exploration. One is outwardly, another one is inwardly. If you look inward, then you will see that this outwardly, inwardly, there will be balance, and you will gain harmony. Otherwise, this mental illness and suicidal this suicidal trend will come, because you do not know what you are doing and what you are achieving, because you want to uh, test your ability of this ability to explore the frontier, outside frontiers. But your most important thing, that your inner frontier, you are totally ignorant about it. That's why this thing is coming, and that's why this this harmony, balance, and harmony in diversity is the only solution for humans to survive in better way. I must say better way. I will not say that in peace. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
brilliant. I fully agree what you are saying. Now, of course, it's also sometimes hard, right? I mean, we we have to find some ways, especially when it comes to individual people, but also organizations, to actually put this somehow into practice, right? And that's first and foremost, we need acknowledgement that there is something we can actually improve. And I think that what really helps, especially in this chapter, is that we look at it and question ourselves first and foremost. Okay, how do we know, how do we learn certain things? Okay, and once we know how we learn, we can actually start adjusting the way we learn, right? So if we know, for example, that we learn by always trying to make our point come true and disregard new information, that's not really learning, right? That's more a dogmatic approach to life, that I have a certain set of beliefs and therefore life has to somehow adjust based on my mental model, right? The other way around is precisely what the chapter really illustrates, is that we question constantly our assumptions based on the new facts we are confronted with. Okay, and that requires both systems, that they work hand in hand in order to facilitate this process and to come to new insight and potentially to change our perspective. And therefore, I just want to quickly illustrate how this actually can be possible, okay? By, for example, citing Ellen J. Langer, okay, and her approach to mindfulness, what you really are saying, okay? Because mindfulness is first and foremost, it's really the simple process of noticing new things, okay? Because constantly there are new things, right? We face, we see within ourselves, but also outside of ourselves, okay? And so I just want to quickly present 3 stages of mindfulness, okay? So the first stage is you look at the situation. Let's say someone loses his shoe, okay? An old man loses his shoe, okay? So the first stage of mindfulness will be, I don't care, it's not my problem because it's this man's shoe, okay? I don't care. The second stage will be, you run immediately to the person and actually help him get back his shoe, okay? And the third stage, the highest stage of mindfulness, will be, okay, that's interesting. This man is just losing his shoe. Now he's an older man. It's really tough for him to get back his shoe, right? Now I can either think about, okay, well, I help him, or I can think beyond that and think about, okay, this elderly man, and we know fitness and exercising is so important. In other words, this is actually an occasion for this man to exercise. Therefore, I do not help him out because I have the very best interest in my head for this man, and therefore I want him to actually practice, to exercise, because every occasion, every struggle is ultimately an occasion for me to improve, whether physically, psychologically, mentally, or whatever, right? And this to me is precisely what learning is, and that requires both. It requires the first system thinking about being intuitive and combining it with this. The second part is precisely taking into account reason, rationality, and this requires effort. Okay, so what do you think about that? Because to me that will be an example of learning.
And I don't know. Those things are they're talking about psychological aspects. Those are very too abstract. Okay, to me, learning is very easy, and if you want to see for effective learning, that was we can start with the Socrates pedagogy through dialogue. Okay,
Exactly,
then
exactly.
then mm, more recently, I have seen these United States. They are practicing. There is the best way. There is the brainstorming. Okay,
Which
and
is what is this specifically? I didn't
uh,
catch that.
that is called they that is just like the Socrates pedagogy that is through dialogue.
Yeah,
They call it brainstorming session. Okay.
brainstorm. Yeah, okay, and now I
Yeah.
got it.
Now here is a question, and how it becomes effective. They now you are talking about learning. They give some topic. So there are 10 or 5. Now, everyone needs to give their views or their ideas. Sometimes there are groups, sometimes individuals. So you need to present your ideas. But here they say one thing that uh, you can criticize anyone, anybody, or you can give any assumptions or maybe little or maybe that you are giving vile criticism doesn't matter. You can uh, you can give your opinion, assumption, thesis, hypothesis, anything you want. Uh, through your heart that open-heartedly without any fear and prejudice. Okay, if you can create this environment, you see that every humans have the potentials. Okay, if uh, uh, you can conduct this type of sessions for learning, it will surprise you because you will find that Mr. X, you thought him to be dumb, but he's giving such an innovative and new ideas which you never thought of. So, learning is this is one way, and definitely now regarding the system you were talking about. Okay, you can give a topic or you can give a book. Then we discuss. There are many ways for learning, but basic thing is that learning those you are learning from your family, from your institution that respect others' views. Okay, at least you must have tolerance. These are the basic thing to attain harmony. That means you must agree to remain disagree and be having a congenial relationship or having congenial atmosphere. Otherwise, you see, once you are in a group or in a learning, but these they are talking about so-called intuitive, these that, because once then learning for standard learning, you need to attain minimum 12 years of age. But nowadays, you see, from home, people are giving books to the kids. Okay, uh, until 12 years, these kids must play and learn out of nature. Okay, but nowadays we are from very beginning, our this teaching or learning system is faulty.
Yes,
That's
you're
why,
right. Because as we know, if you don't use it, you lose it, right?
yeah. So, because that is the standard, but people are learning. But to me, if you can create this fear-free environment, if people can candidly give their opinion, you will find lot of new ideas. Now, uh, uh, regarding, okay, we talk about any business entity. Definitely.
Yeah, but just quickly, I just want to quickly summarize, and then you can come to your next point. What you're basically saying is no fear. It has to be fearless. The
Yeah.
environment, very important. And really, you have always safe to fail. You have to feel safe to fail. It has to be safe enough to really dare. And precisely what you're saying, it can be through dialogues, like Socratic dialogues, right? Or brainstorming, or precisely the three stages of mindfulness. These are precisely tools in order to brainstorm, in order to get different perspective, put it into context, in a fearless environment, in order to dialogue, as you say, and to make new meanings.
Mindfulness, you live with the present. Okay. But
Precisely.
I didn't get that example clearly, because those are not related with mindfulness. Those are related with your daily work. Okay. Uh, if you are moving, if someone is in trouble, if you have time, you can help them, and that is your human qualities. But it varies from culture to culture, countries to countries. Okay, in West system is different, in East system is different. So I've seen in Western country, if someone is in trouble, people are afraid to call the police, because police will ask him a lot of questions. But if you come to the East, you will see that if someone is in trouble, people would jump to help them. So these are culture specific thing, and over time things also got changed.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's why.
But just one thing, this is very important. This is actually universal. What I'm actually talking is that we know positivity, negativity has an effect. That goes back to the evolutionary process. Okay, we are wired to really to survive, right? And I show you one analogy that's very important, because this is universal. Okay, we're talking here about universal things. Okay, so if you, let's say, you have a positive thought. Okay, so I show you here this example. Okay, I show it here. Okay, let's suppose here you are here. Okay, you have a positive thought, for example, and that's what I mean by mindfulness, because it opens us up to all the possibilities. Ultimately, it changes our perspective. In other words, we are able to take different perspective. Whereas if we are negative, no, we focus only on the situation. For example, oh, something bad happened. Okay, so we are turned inward. Okay, but once we open up with mindfulness, and that's why learning is so important, because we put things into context based on the context, then our view opens up. It looks like this. Whereas this is positive. It it expands outward, whereas negativity, it will go down. Okay, the focus is just basically inward. Okay, it's very narrow, and studies have shown, I mean, Dr. Langer's work has shown that it all has to do ultimately with learning, because this is precisely also what you basically can say with uh, dialectic dialogues, right? You ask questions constantly. You
But
don't answer it, but you
I'm
ask
not
it in
clear
order
about
to
the
expand.
explanation of mindfulness. Mindfulness, the example he's giving, but this is not the mindfulness. Mindfulness is that you are living with the present.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
this means that you actively noticing new things. And this is what makes us feel alive, because we feel like, wow, 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 wow. Okay. And that sets us precisely back what you're saying, being in the present, because then everything opens up and we ultimately realize, wow, we are connected to everything. We are the universe within ourselves, as Neil Teese said so eloquently, on Notes on Complexity. Okay, this is really important. In other words, they're just different concepts, and I know what you mean. They're different concepts, but these concepts they converge all together. From psychology, from evolutionary biology, from social sciences in general. These really converge, and we are ultimately able to actually make more sense out of it. Okay, that was just my point. I truly believe that actually those are integrated. They are just different ways of achieving the same thing. You know what I mean? Because you can travel to Rome by plane, but you can also travel to Rome by a ship or boat, right? But the result is ultimately the same, and that's learning, which ultimately leads to harmony. And one way of, I think, one of the most effective ways is really to apply those two systems of thinking in a more integrated way and constantly questioning ourselves.
Look, Mr. Yannick, I don't subscribe those ideas of system on and system to learning. Those are the thoughts of these Western people, which but there is no such kind of thinking or that system on system two. They are dissect things more, but I didn't find any meat out of it. Okay, because the things are so simple and they're making it so complicated, and this is the specialty of those intellect people. That is called intellectual vocation to me. This learning is not, if things are so, difficult to comprehend, then how you are going to learn. Okay. Intuitive learning is a different thing. And once they're talking about all those things, then they need to know the human these being, how they functions, how they, the people, those who all have mastered all those things. You need to have a definite interaction with all of them, with all these people, and so far there is no such theory that how this because the people with scientific mind, they have they want everything should have a theory, and it should be just like mathematical equation. But it's not possible on that learning. And if you talk about this learning, first thing, you need to accept that you do not know anything. We do not. We really do not know anything. And till now, you see, these science still could not ascertain ascertain with certainty the behavior of a single atom. Okay. Once it moves without interference, it moves in opposite direction. Once you give attention, it moves in another direction. So once this, I've seen this Maslow's hierarchy needs theory, self. They are talking about. They are giving some model. People are believing it. Once if you want to give such model for yourself, actualization needs or this intuitiveness, this uh, for mind has a 16 part. This is so subtle things. Until unless you know all these things, you need to know things with certainty. Only then you can give some thoughts and ideas. To me, these are good. But there are some psychological, biological, especially psychological. This ideas or thing, but those really don't work as we think. But regarding learning, if we I want to keep it very simple. If you talk about you and me, why we do need to learn, okay? But we need to find out that why I should learn. If I'm in a organization, I need to also learn adequately organization specific learning. Okay, that is for my survival. Whether I like it or not doesn't matter. Definitely, I love that organization or that work. Otherwise, I would not serve there. Okay, now uh, uh, you have interest for certain areas of learning. Okay, so you learn all those, and if you are equating learning with all those are not. Let us not discuss all those things because those are very critical thinking. There will be a lot of questions on this. Let us keep uh, things very simple, easy, and handy to understand you and me and everybody that why learning is required and how learning is contributing to harmony. Okay.
That is amazing. Why learning is so important is because every single instance we change, right? So my life too, I change, my hair falling, whatever, right? So therefore I have to adjust, right? I have to learn to cope with different situations all the time. And that's really the process of, or as Heraclitus said, right? You step only once in the same river. You never ever step in the same river twice. Why? Because change is constant, right? So that will be a short.
I once you said that your hair is falling, so I was captain at that time. I learned a lesson from one of my senior. He was retired by this time, senior officer. So someone was putting on wig. So he told me, you see, he has some issues that he has something mental deficiency that he cannot face the reality. He cannot face the situation. I learned at that time. I said, "Sir, why?" No, though instantly I learned it because, this is natural that your hair will fall. Okay, so you should accept it, but he cannot accept the situation that it will fall. So maybe, but this is one kind of evaluating people by the psychologist. Now, why I'm talking about this exactly same things I had been sharing with few peoples. They're telling no, sir, he didn't said the correct thing because he wants to looks better. That's why he's using wig, and he's doing grafting. Don't you think that is better? So you see this as a psychological teaching. Those are not universal. He said that he cannot face the reality. That's why he's doing this. Another 2 to 3% told me no, because he loves to remain handsome. That's why he's doing this. There is nothing wrong in it.
But this is
So,
precisely an example of not learning. Because if you are able to accept, right, you accept what's happening, and that biology is changing.
uh,
Our life is changing, and therefore we have to accept it. Accept is the first premise of actually transformation. If we don't accept that we have to learn, we will never really learn, right?
definitely,
Accept it.
you need to learn, and we are learning every day, every moment. Okay, everybody is learning. You see, when a farmer, at the end of the day, he also contemplates what he has learned throughout the day. Everybody is everybody is learning in their way. We learn through our living. So there is no denying fact that learning is necessary. Without, uh, if you, okay, let us just quote Mr. Warren Buffett that the more you learn, the more you earn. So that is better for, people to motivate for learning, isn't it? And regarding learning, not only learning is a continuous process. Uh, I told you about the Alexander the Great. He was taught all the disciplines and everything. And so is Napoleon Bonaparte. He's, you know, he's though he's not the direct disciple, but Napoleon follows him into it. And do you know what Napoleon Bonaparte used to do? For any campaign of any place, he used to task his place that go to the Paris National Library and bring all the books of that particular area, maybe literature, anything he used to read. And in modern times, Lee Kuan, this man uh, from Singapore who totally changed the fate of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew. And he wrote his biography from Singapore, making of history, the from third world to first. Here, this is one style of leadership that is called. I termed it as charging battery style because sometimes I had to write the leadership styles and which one to follow. And he said that what he used to do, as a prime minister, he used to take leave for about a month. He used to go to America or England or Canada, where these renowned universities are there. There are these all latest intellectuals and with latest ideas. He used to go there and interact with them, just to remain updated with the contemporary ideas and charge his battery to all those ideas, and to so that he is not backdated. That means he is remaining updated with the environmental changes in um, all aspects. Okay. And importance of learning, even this American president, this famous president JFK, John F. Kennedy, he said that leadership and learning is indispensable. So you need to have learning. Without learning, uh, you cannot do anything. You cannot lead people. You yourself cannot work, and you will not have your own satisfaction. Okay, that's why the importance of learning, or as you said, learn or die. Learn or die is a this in a short is the finest saying. If you do not learn, you will die. There is uh, no doubt about it. But there are processes, different. Uh, people can, the way people want to learn, all the system, all the methods will work. But someone is we cannot say best way, but say that easy way to learn how to do that. We can discuss about that. And you wanted to relate, and definitely, learning is synonymous to harmony. There is no doubt about it. Because learning empowers you, learning enlightens you, learning allows you to see beyond the boundary. Definitely, once you attain these, definitely you will have balance and also harmony. Okay.
Because really learning helps you to adjust really to the cosmos and the universe, right? Because you take things in and you adjust your behavior accordingly, and therefore we come back to nature. You become really a function of the universe, of nature, right? And that's really what aligns us back to nature, and therefore you always propose to go back to nature, to contemplate nature, and to play in nature, because that's what we ought to do, because we become actually what we hang out most. In other words, I can tell you your destiny by contemplating and by studying your friends, because you become with whom you are together, right?
Because nature is the best place for learning. Learning mindfulness, learning playfulness, okay, and learning for survival also. And that is the best way for all of us. If you know uh, the if you know the natures, how it works, that is the best thing to learn, because that is just living, not that is just living life, not death. What we are doing in the name of development, that we are living dead. Okay, we are living on chemicals. We are living with mental illness, and a few days. You see, now the world where we are living, where kids are going for suicide. So that means there is some fault line in our system, isn't it? A kid, 15 years kid, his life is so vibrant that he is a king in his own domain. But how he or she can think of suicide? It is not in the West. It is a pandemic all over the world. In 2023, more than 864 or 884 students of school, higher secondary, and graduation, not only students and teachers also committed suicide in Bangladesh. So you see, they have a whole life ahead. Why? Then I interacted as a dean. I was dean of this Bangladesh University of Professionals at that time. So I interacted with the students, that why committing suicide? Because uh, uh, you know, uh, since you are teaching also, you have your own arena. This is the only aspect we should now explore to our species to survive or live life and live meaningfully. Because this is not my prediction, that what WHO has said that by 2060, 2060, but this world will be the suicide pandemic. And I also do believe in it. So here, the thing which he wanted to know about these books, they have. I'm well aware about all their ideas and everything, because we studied all those. These are excellent. They are very good and expert in their own domain. But tell these people also to look uh, the fault line of our learning and education. That why these now we are going through the pandemic of mental illness, and why WHO is predicting that by 2060 we will go through the pandemic of suicide. This is the point of this should be well researched, and here definitely there is a serious fault line of our learning, because we are learning, that infinite, limitless. Uh, you cannot balance this inner one. That you could not limit the infinite limitless. That is the only reason that this thing is happening. How do you feel that in a country more than 55% people are living with sedative? It is in America. Okay. So, how can those people remain good and be active? So, it is not any country specific. As I said, this trend is global, and it is being cautioned by the United Nations organization, that is World Health Organization, WHO. So, this is the point here. Our learning system has failed to produce harmony,
Fully
to
agree.
limit our this limitless or infinite limitless money outward exploration to inward level, which you had been talking just a few minutes back. Okay.
I fully agree, Dr. Moazzem Hossain. Thank you so much again, once again, for your outstanding and brilliance, really, every time. And we continue the conversation hopefully next week with different topics, because it's true. What really saves us is only harmony in diversity, and really harmony within first and foremost, and this ultimately emanates to the outside world, because it's urgent, and really our humanness is really at stake here, because there's so many challenges that we face in the next couple of years, that if we don't really think and address them and really go out and tell people, then we are in big trouble. So do you have any parting words?
Um, Regarding, but just we have talked about learning, and there is no. Um, I don't need to say something about the importance of learning. And in the present world, it has become the battle of ideas. Okay, there is a battle of minds and battle of ideas, and this battle is very fierce. Okay, because these corporate people or everyone, they wants to make money. So um, the nowadays, because of this technological advancement, so you need to innovate fast, think fast with speed, otherwise you are becoming uh, obsolete. So that has caused serious strain on us as a human being. How much you need? Okay, we have already set up the destruction of this um, universe. So here, that my parting this word is that we must, as a human being, uh, we must, as I told you, that we must limit the infinite, limitless. Okay, that how far we will explore outwardly, leaving our uh, inward think, as you said, that cosmic force and others. If we do not explore our inner world, then definitely we will not be able to achieve harmony or balance. Then at present, this world is, as WHO has said, that a pandemic of mental illness. Then by 2060, it will become pandemic of suicide. So we don't want that. We need to, rethink about our learning process and everything, so that as a human we can live life, not dead. Thank you.
Brilliant. Dr. Moazzem Hossain, And this episode was sponsored by Harmony in Diversity. That's why knowledge matters. Make your life a masterpiece. Visit now programs.the-ykm.com. Meant to